and they start recording. Thanks, Bobby. I'm sure that's you there. Okay, good. All right, so I'm the chair of the board, so I will go through the electronic meeting script and call the roll, etc. So to conduct this meeting wholly electronically and to effectuate, which I got to look up, I really like just the word effect, both the emergency procedures authorized by FOIA and the emergency ordinance, this library board of trustees needs to make certain findings and determinations for the record. The first is audibility of members' voices. Because each member of this library board is participating in this meeting from a separate location, we must verify that a quorum of members is participating and that each member's voice is clear, audible, and at appropriate volume for all of the other members. Accordingly, I'm going to conduct a roll call and ask each library board member participating in the meeting to state your name and the location from which you are participating. I ask that each of you pay close attention to ensure you can hear each of your colleagues. Following the roll call, we'll vote to establish that every member can hear every other member. So we'll go through the roll call by district. Braddock District is me, Brian Engler. I'm at home in Burke. The next is, let's see, City of Fairfax.
I'm Suzanne Levy, and I'm here in my home in the city of Fairfax.
Thank you. Drainsville District.
I'm Sujatha Hampton. I am reporting from my home in Great Falls, Virginia.
Okay. Hunter Mill District.
Hello, Parker Brugge. I am here in my home in Vienna, Virginia.
Thank you. Franconia District.
Yes, this is Keith Fox representing the Franconia District and my home in Springfield, Virginia.
Thank you. Mason District.
Fran Millhauser from my home in Mason District.
Okay. Mount Vernon, sorry, District.
Gary Russell from my home in Mount Vernon.
And Providence District is not here yet, right? I don't see.
I'm here now.
Yes, she is. Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Sue Park from the Providence District, logging in from my office.
Okay. And Springfield District.
Phil Rosenthal, Springfield District. I'm in my office in Alexandria.
Okay. Sully District.
I saw Liz there. Liz is
Yeah,
there.
I see you, Liz. You need to say where you are and who and what you're doing. Sully District. We're doing a roll call.
Oh, sorry. I didn't hear Sully.
Oh, that's okay.
Liz, I thought I heard Springfield. Liz Walker, I'm at home and I represent the Sully District.
Okay, thank you. At large. Crippa was here.
Crippa Patwarden in my home in Herndon.
Okay, I love the background. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Wow.
That is Provence.
I thought
I am not there.
Make us feel jealous. Fairfax County Public School.
Marcel Dando, representing Fairfax County Public Schools at our home in Woodbridge.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. Okay, so let's see what I have to do here. Oh, so at this point, I pass the gavel to Suzanne. To you. And I move that each member's voice may be adequately heard by each other member of the Library Board of Trustees.
all in favor, say aye.
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 Hi.
Opposed?
Oh, okay, great.
Yeses. Everybody can hear everybody.
Thank you. Second, having established that each member's voice may be heard by every other member, we must next establish the nature of the emergency that compels these emergency procedures. The fact that we're meeting electronically, what type of electronic communication is being used, and how we've arranged for public access to this meeting. Therefore, I move that the state of emergency caused by the COVID-19 pandemic makes it unsafe for the board to physically assemble and unsafe for the public to physically attend any such meeting. And that as such, FOIA's usual procedures, which require the physical assembly of this board and the physical presence of the public, cannot be implemented safely or practically. I further move that this board may conduct this meeting electronically through a dedicated Zoom meeting, and that the public may access this meeting by, and the key or whatever and password have been sent out. So we need it seconded, Suzanne.
I second it, Phil.
Thank you, Phil. All in agreement with the motion, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Okay,
Okay.
it passes unanimously.
Thank you. Then finally, we need to dispense with FOIA's usual procedures to ensure continuity. Finally, it's next required that all the matters addressed on today's agenda must address the emergency itself and are necessary for continuity in Fairfax County government, or are statutorily required or necessary to continue operation and the discharge of this board's lawful purposes, duties, and responsibilities. It's so moved.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Thank you, Phil. All in agreement with the motion, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Okay,
Motion carries.
excellent. Thank you so
I
much.
give you back the gavel.
All right, great. I love it. Thank you. Okay, so now we'll start our meeting, and the first thing we have is public comment. The library board wishes to provide an opportunity for the public to comment on library-related issues. It's our policy to hear a maximum of 10 speakers at each regularly scheduled board meeting. Speakers are limited to one public comment during a 6-month period. Each speaker has a maximum of 3 minutes for their comments. A 30-second warning will be given before each speaker's time is up, and the speaker will be expected to end promptly when time is called. Speakers are requested to pre-register with the library director. However, if there are available slots open at a time of a board meeting, the remaining slots may be filled by individuals registered at the meeting. Board members will listen but not question or respond to speakers. Tonight, there are no registered speakers. If anyone does wish to speak at a future meeting, please call the director's assistant at 703-324-8324. Okay, so there appears to be no one.
Brian, I
Okay.
think we have a speaker. I think we have a speaker, Brian.
Who? I
Hi,
thought we
Brian. My
did.
name is Keith Tashima.
Oh, okay,
Good
great.
evening. How are you doing?
Okay, Keith.
Good. Thanks for allowing me to say just a few words about my appreciation for the board's work over this calendar year in support of our libraries. I've been a resident of Springfield for about over a decade now, and been living in Northern Virginia for probably 16, 17 years. And the Pohick Library is one of my favorite institutions. I think it's just such a vital service, and especially at this time, also a vital space for our communities to come together. It's one of the last public spaces where people can come together to learn and be together and support our community. So just wanted to introduce myself and say thank you to the board for the service.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here that wants to speak? I don't see anything. No. Okay. Thank you.
Brian, can I make a comment?
Yes, Keith. Fox.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so this is, in full disclosure, I met Keith Tashima. He wanted to learn more about what the board does. So we had coffee together, and just a little bit about him. He's a big time volunteer in the community, has a very well established career, community person with sincere interest in the library board. So
Excellent.
Fran, you may adopt him. And Philip, Phil, you should get to know him, and I would promise you he's a great guy. So thanks for showing up, Keith.
And thank you, Keith. Love the first name, of course. So we've got that in common.
Thank you. And of course, keep in mind, there is also the Library Foundation that has a board and works very closely with us. So you'll hear a report about the meeting tonight from Liz Walker, Trustee Walker, and there'll be even more said about it in January. You'll find out. So
excellent. Good.
Come to our meeting then.
All right,
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the minutes. We sent out the draft minutes. I'm sorry.
Phil, I would just like to say, Keith, if you'd let me know, I'd like to reach out and I'd be happy to have coffee with you and visit with you. So.
Okay, that sounds great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, are we done here? Let's go. Okay, so the minutes were sent out. Are there any corrections to the minutes that were printed and emailed? I have none. I don't know about anyone else. No, there being no other corrections to the minutes stand as approved and printed, and the ones that were mailed to us. So thank you. Our next topic is committee report. The first one is Fairfax County Public Schools, trustee Dando. Are you here?
Thank you very much. So I'm pleased to share 2 days before winter break about the status of where we are in Fairfax County Public Schools in general, and then also some specific information about the school library programs. So first off, as you are aware, we have a new superintendent, Dr. Michelle Reed. I will say that I've interacted with her multiple times at this point this year, and she's very transparent. She's done quite a few listening tour town hall type events across the community. I believe those she's just finished. But she's very dedicated to communicating about all that's happening in our schools. And she writes a very interesting weekly reflection. If you go to the fcps.edu website and just search on the website for weekly reflections, they're very detailed. And I've had librarians who write to me to say, oh, she's going to talk about us in her weekly reflection. So it's already started to become a thing. And then we're also in the strategic planning process in the school system, just as we are with our board here. And that is including more people than in my 30 years in Fairfax County that I've seen be involved. And I know some people on the call today, in the meeting today, have been involved, as have I. It's a very robust process. And again, very transparent. So you can search strategic plan on the website and get information there too. I would say in general, one of the challenges that we are still facing in the school system is vacancies. Vacancies across the board, vacancies in teaching positions, certainly vacancies in libraries. Right now, we have 2 vacancies that I do not expect to be filled for the rest of the year. And so we are filling them with long-term subs, and the long-term subs are not related with libraries. And so my team is doing everything we can to support that. But that's difficult because, you know, library services affect every single school, every student in the school. And so we're hoping, and we're working with our talent acquisitions department to ensure that we're fully staffed in libraries and elsewhere. Anyone who's interested in being a substitute, there's been a recent hike in pay. So please look up on the website, because that is another vital need. When I did my report right when school started, I shared a little bit about the fact that our library program has to have, along with other programs, what we call a PIP. It's a Program Improvement and Innovation Plan. And I shared a little bit about our goals for this year and the fact that we are held accountable for meeting our goals each year. And so we just had to write reports that have not yet been put up on the website. They will be though, but I'm going to give you a preview of some of our successes from the school library side of things from last year. So in school year 2021-22 was our first school year where we expected not to have the interruption and disruption of remote learning due to the COVID crisis. And there's a lot of concern about ensuring that our students are able to experience success in every way possible. And from the library program, we were concerned about disruptions from being able to participate in library services and access library resources. So one area of goals was for us to work very hard with our schools and our central office colleagues to ensure that our engagement with our resources exceeded pre-pandemic levels. And I'm very excited to share that our efforts paid off, and we did that, with flying colors. So even as our enrollment is less than, I use the 2018-2019 school year as a baseline, we still increased engagement exponentially. So for example, last year, we checked out more than 5.8 million books to students at per pupil is 32 books per student. And pre-pandemic, it was 4.7 million. So over 1 million more books checked out. In 2018-19, it was a per pupil checkout of 25. When it comes to our electronic resources, such as ebooks and audiobooks, we almost tripled our engagement. So during the pandemic, and this is something we did not have before the pandemic, but during the pandemic, We had 232,106 engagements, which is our way of saying reading, listening, engaging with ebooks and audiobooks, which is 1.28 items per student. And last year we had 640,017 engagements. So per pupil, we went up to almost 4 per pupil engagements. And then lastly, the real biggie, and I think this is a result of everyone leaning in on digital resources. Pre-pandemic with our databases, which are primarily used for research and support in school assignments and inquiry work. Pre-pandemic, we had 9.8 million searches at 52 searches per student. And last year we had 20,723,062 searches at 114 per student. And of course, databases, they fluctuate from grade level. Elementary doesn't use quite as many as high school does, but just as a way of comparison. So this is all a result of my team. I'm very proud of engagements with our schools, with our teachers directly, with our students, of course, through our librarians, and with our central office folks in leveraging our resources. So I'm happy to provide any additional information or answer any questions that people have, but I wanted to share that success with you. And we look forward to having a successful second semester.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Would it be appropriate at all to invite Superintendent Reed to one of our meetings to talk about how the schools and the library could do more together or something?
I think
in the
that
future?
it is, I think it's appropriate to extend an invitation. And I know that, her schedule is definitely very tight. So I would not worry about if, she was not able to engage with us at the time of invitation, but certainly I would say that an invitation, would be appropriate.
Okay, maybe we'll look into that, Jessica. That's okay. Sometime after the winter. Anyone else have any questions for Suzanne?
I had a question.
Yes,
A
Suzanne.
question, like a point. First place, I think that's a great idea to invite her. Yeah, it's a great idea. I also haven't seen her turning down too many invitations. Like she really has been very much engaging in as many ways, as many invitations that I've never heard anybody say that she said no to something down.
Read
So
her weekly reflections, because she includes what she does for the school systems on the weekends.
Yeah, and really, like, especially right now, before she's kind of like, while she's new and she's really getting her feet wet and not, she hasn't come to a point in her involvement with the schools yet to know when to say
no.
No, right? And so that is a good thing. I think that if we are to invite her, that we should we really need to plan for it. I'd like us to plan for it because like with specific demands almost regarding protections for school libraries and everything. And I think it would be really most meanul if while we're having that conversation, I don't want to say demands sounds too intense. Fran is like, no, not demands. No, just specific asks, an agenda that we would like to get through in terms of what we're asking. And just like, I think it's nice when we hold people in positions of power accountable for, the way that they engage with the public. So I'd love us to be able to do that if we. So I wanted to just say that publicly to the entire community.
Okay, well, probably it would be handled by committees such as yours and Fran's and of course Priscilla. But we'll see. So yeah, sounds good.
I hope I made
Anybody else?
myself clear. That sounded more aggressive than I wanted to sound. But
I know. That's why I added Fran and Priscilla to calm you down. No, anyway, anyone else want to comment? No? Okay. Our next committee is the STAN committee or whatever.
All right, thank you. We met on December 8th, and some of the things that we covered were the identification of by committee members of individuals they had contacted to be advocates. And Bobby is compiling that list with contact information. So I would encourage other board members, if you have friends and contacts that you think would be good and would like to be an advocate, to share that information with Bobby. And I will now go into what else we're working on. We are working on talking points to be distributed to the individuals. And Jessica supplied us with a very wonderful background sheet on the 3 different issues that we're going to be focusing on, which is the expanded hours, budget, collection budget, and intellectual freedom and possible threats. So working on all the background with all the, super wonky things of what's the percentage that you should have, what's the percentage that we've got, what's it been like in this fiscal year and that fiscal year. When I started working on it, I thought about a friend of mine who just started using the library and just using audiobooks for his walking. And I thought, no, and he said he would be an advocate because he really wants there to be more audiobooks for him. And so I thought, well, let's really make these talking points sort of sing an individual song about what is it for them. And so what I have proposed, as part of it is the bottom line of, what is advocacy? It's changing the passive support into an active voice of an individual. What do we want support for? We want more money for book budget so that when people go to the library, they're looking for homework support, they're looking for a book to read, they can get it. Or the staff member says, it'll be here in a couple days from another branch, as opposed to, well, go ahead and put your hold on it, and maybe in 3 or 4 months, we'll get that book for you. And then, the ask, what is the ask from these factors is from the individual to the supervisor. I love audiobooks. I can't always get it. I think there should be more money in the budget. So we're really focusing the talking points into very specific, almost individually oriented talking points, rather than, it's recommended that the library have 20% of its budget for the for collection development for the past few fiscal years. That's great information to know, but wait until you get called on to tell people that, because people don't have time to listen to all that. So that's what we're working on. And then we will be working also on the extended hours. And for me, the focus of that is what I've heard people say is like, well, you're not open in the evening. Where are the school kids going to go and do their homework? Where are they going to get the materials? Or you're not open on Sunday when school kids want to go and do that, or working people want to go at night or on the weekend. So we'll be narrowing the focus into what does it mean to our service and for our, for what we are. And then we will be working on the intellectual freedom. So that's that. Now, in line with that emphasis on individuals who have a reason to be an advocate, both Liz and Phil have asked me about, or Liz at the meeting last time and Phil asked me about the Friends and what are we doing with the Friends. And we definitely will be wanting Friends as our advocates. And right now we are focusing on this individual aspect, but just to let you know, to thank you for bringing that up, because we consider them to be incredible sources of support. And we want to be working on a message that resonates for them specifically. So it's in our
queue.
Yeah, it's there. It's not exactly in a parking lot, but it's ready. We're ready to aim on it. And then we are aiming at the March and April town hall budget meetings for our advocates to be ready. And even though we feel pretty certain that it's going to be a flat budget year, our feeling is that it's good for individuals who want to be involved in this way to go ahead and start, even though it may not be successful, but it's always good to start that relationship with the elected officials and just get started, because I know when I was working and preparing budgets, I always said, you have to invoke the inner 2-year-old who keeps doing whatever it is that's in a 2-year-old's mind, no matter how many times someone says no, no, no. It just keeps coming back, coming back, coming back. And that's the way budget is to me. It's like, I know you said no, but here's what I need. And here's what I want.
Gonna have to say it again.
You know what I mean? You're smiling, it's all good, but it's like, I'm not going away. So that's important to establish that process. So we're working. That's what we've been working on. So if anybody has any questions, our next meeting is January 3rd, and everyone is welcome. It'll be a Zoom meeting. And let me say, I think it's going to be at 3 o'clock. We like that. Let me see.
Okay.
No, actually, we're going to do it at 10 a.m. in the morning that day. So if you would like to come and learn more, and also if you have identified someone, once again, send that name and contact to Bobby, because she's compiling the list that we will be using.
Thank you, Fran.
And
Appreciate
one
it.
more thing I wanted to say. I'm sorry. I thought of it and then it went away and then it came back. I know in Mason District, Supervisor Gross has announced that this will be her last term. She will be retiring. She'll be serving until the end of December. And so, and I think Supervisor Faust also, is that correct? It's not going to run again. Yeah. So it made me remember an ALA workshop that I attended that had questions to ask people running for office to gauge their support of the library. So I'm still looking for those questions, but I think it's important for us to be thinking about that and to be ready to ask candidates, good questions. Not, do you support libraries? Which is, I love libraries. You always get that answer. We want more than love.
Show us your library card.
We want the money. Okay.
Thank you, Fran. Any questions for Fran? No. Next is Liz for the foundation. And for your information, Liz, I don't know if you've heard it yet, but Miriam has agreed to come and talk to us, this board, at our January meeting. So.
Oh, good to know. Thank
Okay,
you. I
good.
missed that. Thank you. Well, we did have our quarterly board meeting this week, yesterday, as a matter of fact, and the first person on the agenda was a representative from the Ruston Friends Group. And she's actually, and I think she might be the only one right now in the county, but she's actually started an outreach program for the Ruston Friends. And she's been, I think, doing it, or at least, no, she's been involved with the Friends Group since 1998. But as an outreach person, she goes to like the foundation and other groups in the community to talk about what they're all about in the libraries, et cetera. And she's seems like she's a really good match for the role. Just as an aside, the Centerville Friends Group is getting a lot of mentoring from Ruston. And they are, because of this lady's role, they are actively looking for an outreach coordinator themselves, because I feel it's very valuable. An interesting thing that she talked about was that the Friends Group in Ruston is doing so well that they are now investigating and probably are going to be doing it. I believe they're committed to doing it. They're going to look into having grants to organizations in the community that are involved with literacy programs. So that was very impressive that they're doing so well financially that they can actually establish a grant program for organizations in the community. So that's quite fantastic. We also had 2 new members elected to the board. Alice, I'm going to screw up her last name, Magelson Green. She's an associate director from the Watershed Center for Literacy, Engagement and Publishing Practice. And the other one who was elected is Susan Doyle, who's a board assistant for the National Trust Community Investment Corporation. So those 2 were voted on as members. And we had a really interesting update on the children's literacy program from the library that Renee Edward presented. He covered a lot of territory, but in particular, he gave some statistics on early literacy. that we were pretty impressed with, that in 2022, there were 1,265 story times. Now this is early literacy. This is a program designed to get children in a position to be ready to read when they enter like kindergarten. So this is in preparation for them to read. And as part of it, they all get a book. So they had 29,642 attendees in 2022, and they gave away 20,220 books, which is what the foundation provides to the early literacy program. So they were very pleased with the numbers there. They talked again about the summer reading program that we're partnering with the school system. That is supposed to run between June the 16th and August the 18th. And in particular, the foundation is looking for sponsorship for some major, can you see this by any chance? No. I'll have to, they have a flyer where they're looking for high-level sponsorship for the children's literacy program. And one of them is the Ready to Read, which is that early literacy program that I just talked about. A new one, and I believe I mentioned it the last time after the board meeting, it's a pilot for a Born with a Book, where they're going to target one of the hospitals in a service area that where there is a underserved community, where they're going to, when babies are born, hopefully 1,000 if they can get sponsorship, they will give the family member, the mother, 1,000 books to new babies to start them on the pathway of introducing them to literacy. And then the new program that they're in partnership with our library system is the Children's Summer Reading Festivals. They plan on having with the library, and there's a committee, I think, again, I mentioned that last time, that's been set up to plan this major effort. There will be 2 locations. The Lorton Library will have the festival on 6/10 from 1 a.m. to 1 p.m. Excuse me, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's difficult to read my own notes. And at the Chantilly Library on 6/24 from 4 to 7 p.m. And on that same date at Chantilly, there'll be cinema in the community. So this will be a festival, again, highlighting children's literacy. And there's going to be about 12 to 15 activities in the parking lots of the libraries for the children and families to participate in. They're going to need a lot of volunteers to make both of these programs successful. So if anybody on the library board would like to participate there, they really would welcome volunteers. So there'll be more information about that going forward. So they are looking for major sponsors for that. So a lot of the meeting was taken up with a fundraising and to meet the requirements of the children's literacy program, as well as other things that they're working on. The scholarship committee announced that we're open now for scholarships applications that will be online. If you go to Fairfax Library Foundation, the scholarship applications are there. But the 2 scholarships are an undergraduate scholarship and a staff development scholarship. Both of the applications are due on January the 15th, and they would love to have all of us help in advertising that these scholarships exist, and that now is the time to apply. The first scholarship for the undergraduate scholarship is $2,000. And the thing that I didn't realize is that individuals who live, work, volunteer, or attend school within Fairfax County or the city of Fairfax are eligible. So it's quite broad. And again, it's $2,000 for undergraduate scholarship. The second one is $1,500. And again, all employees of the library system, the foundation, all volunteers of our libraries, the Friends group are also eligible to apply. So they're hoping to get a lot of applications. And again, like I said, I wasn't even aware that volunteers and the Friends people were eligible. So after this meeting, probably tomorrow afternoon, I will send you the write-ups. So if you have supervisor newsletters, that you could include that and steer everybody to the online application under the Fairfax Library Foundation. There have been some staff changes to the foundation. Shelby Allen, who's been supporting the foundation with outstanding support, primarily in the budget, but she crossed all areas. She's now a full-time employee of Fairfax County in the finance department. So she's a big loss, but everybody appreciates that she has received a promotion and she's still in the community of Fairfax County government. Cheryl Lee, who's the development manager, she has taken a 3-month leave of absence. So that's a big loss because, again, fundraising and development is a big push. And the library has loaned John Lutz. As many of you know, if you've been around the board for a while, he's helping out temporarily to help in lieu of Shelby. So John joined the group temporarily. Our next meeting is on March the 14th. So after that, I'll be able to report out hopefully on some more items. But I don't have anything else to report.
Thank you, Liz. Any questions? And again, to tell everyone, Suzanne, just a second, that Miriam Smolin, the chair of the foundation, will be at our January meeting, or she at least has said she would, and she'll give a presentation there.
Hey,
Suzanne,
Brian.
you had a question?
Brian, can you give background on who you just spoke about? Because I think there's some new board members who may not know who Miriam is.
Oh, sure. Miriam Smolin was the chair of this board, and then she moved over to the foundation and was on that board, and then she got elected to be chair of that board. So she's got a good background in libraries. Suzanne, you had a question for Liz? You can't hear you. You're muted, Suzanne.
Okay, sorry. Liz, those scholarships for undergrads are up to $2,000. I've served on the committee for many years, and it depends on the number of candidates and how much money there is available.
Thank you, Suzanne. I think you're still on the committee, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Thank you for the help.
Yeah.
And Sue, do you have a question for Liz?
I do. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear me, but I wanted to go back to what you mentioned from the Friends of Reston, their grant that they are putting together.
The outreach person.
The outreach person. Okay. What, I guess, makes someone eligible or an organization eligible for the grants?
Yeah, she
Is
did
there
not go.
any-
Yeah, she did not go into details, but I believe it was not a high level, was nonprofit, working in the areas of literacy. And I don't know how much the grants would be or anything like that. Sue, I could probably get you her name and maybe a contact information. I thought of you when she was presenting, as a matter of fact.
Okay, thank you.
You don't have her name off the top of my head, but I can get you contact information if that would be helpful to you.
That'd be great. And I guess the reason why I'm asking is that would my organization be disqualified because there's a bit of a conflict of interest, maybe? Me being on the board?
She said that I think they were in the process of working through what the rules are for who they will be able to award grants to.
Okay, thank you.
I suspect, yeah, they're working it out. Anyone else have questions for Liz? If not, we have our outreach. Sujata.
Hi, everyone. the outreach committee met on the 17th of November. And some of you may have received winter talking points, and we discussed those. So I'll just go over that, what we were talking about. The Artist in Residence program at John Marshall Library has started, and it's sponsored by Art Fairfax. They will host an artist, Susie Skolin, and in a program series to create tiles. So it's an artist who will, what she will do is conduct it's not classes. She will it'll be classes, but she's not doing the art in residence. So it's not an artist in residence program in that sense. But people will be able to come, take classes. She'll give, some talks, etc. And she'll be there presenting for our community, which is pretty cool, and giving lessons for our community. The other programs include poet laureate, Fairfax Poet Laureate Danielle Badra, and some theater events and other art forms will be part of this program, which is pretty cool. The board game lending has begun at Centerville, George Mason, and Sherwood Regional Libraries. And so far it's a success. And they've been like how to package them to make sure you get things back. I mean, they're collecting information about how it works and what works best. So it's pretty cool, it's popular. There'll be a gardening tools collection that may launch in the spring, and the staff will be looking into the existing collections and what are the gaps, and what is the feasibility of these programs continuing to the future. And just wanted to say, I think that is something as for outreach, it's pretty cool to think that our libraries are always looking to see what our communities might be able to use, and collecting information to see if it's something that works, something that doesn't, something that's popular. That's pretty interactive, I think. And it speaks well of our library system to think that way. The winter reading program will run, or started in December 1st, will run through January 31st. And the theme is Cozy Up with a Good Book, and they'll be using Beanstack for signing up and tracking. And the feedback regarding Beanstack, we've given some feedback. Suzanne and I both talked about how sometimes you're reading, but you just can't really operate, figure out how to use the app as well as you could if it was just paper and pencil. So that'll be gathered and incorporated into the 2023 summer reading program. That feedback regarding the use of Beanstack and what people think about it. So there were already a couple of author events that have happened. Laura Numeroff from the If You Give a Mouse a Cookie series came, and Ibram Kendi came as well. So those are already in the past, they already happened. And in the spring, they're looking at having Nicole Hannah-Jones coming to McLean Community Center, which will be really pretty cool.
Okay.
So we will be trying to work in conjunction with the fan team, because we sort of have a joint joint charge and sort of different angles on the same mission, which is to grow out news about our library, engagement with our library, love of our library, and get us funded in the process of gaining all of that public goodwill. And I think that is all I need to report.
Okay, thank you. Question, Phil? You have a question for Sujatha?
Yeah, this could be for you or for Fran. I have a good connection with the president and chief executive officer of the Workhorse Arts Foundation, which is down in Lorton. And I'm just thinking, when we're doing things, they have different kind of creative people there. So who does somebody want me to try to make a connection, and with who? Or no?
Jessica?
Another,
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So, Phil, if you're suggesting that, are you talking about Leon?
Leon, yeah.
Yeah. So if you're suggesting that he would be a good person to add to the advocate list, I totally agree. I think he would be an excellent suggestion there. If you're talking about more programming, like what Sujatha talked about with the Artist in Residency program, That's certainly something we could talk about in the future too. We've got a pretty good relationship with the Workhouse folks right now. The new Lorton Library features some local art from there too. But yeah, he's a great contact. I think it's a nice idea.
Great.
Okay, well, anyway, I could, help with that. In other words, I just thought as we were talking about these artists, they have a lot of stuff that they have going on down there that might be able to tie in and be of some benefit, like possibly to Fran as well.
Okay, good idea, Phil. Thank you. Anyone else have a question for Sujata? Suzanne?
Yeah, the Laura Numeroff program has been delayed for the second week in a row. It's going to be this coming Saturday.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I'm signed up for it, and I signed on Saturday, and evidently there was some confusion over which time zone the author was in and we were in. So the author didn't come on the week before. She was sick. So it should happen this Saturday. Jessica, maybe you can still sign up for it.
I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for letting me know that. I really thought that it was passed because I didn't.
Well, it should be passed, but
I appreciate that.
That's funny. Okay, any other questions for Sujata? Thank you, committee chairs. I appreciate it. And I was so excited to get you guys going. I get my chair's report, but I hadn't written anything anyway. So all I was going to say is that we've had a good calendar year, but remind you that this calendar year, of course, isn't the fiscal year. We still have 6 months to go on that. And we are at the end, though, of our last strategic plan, which is why we have this action item to get the new strategic plan. But I'll cover that at the action item, Pete. So that was my report anyway. Now we have director's report. If you can do it, Jess.
I will plow through, yes.
Okay.
And again, I personally very grateful this is a virtual meeting so that I am not germing on everyone.
We are all grateful.
So I had included a couple of items in your written board packet. You can tell that we're very excited about the arts residency program, which is why we included it there, as well as in the outreach winter talking points. The first series that we've done with Miss Scollin actually ends tomorrow. So if you're interested, you can swing by the John Marshall Library sometime soon and see some of the art pieces that have been created on the ceramic partnership programs that have gone through. The big one in the written piece I just wanted to make sure people are aware of is, as was insinuated earlier during Fran's fan report, the county and the school board received a budget forecast in late November. And it's all just a forecast at this point. It's projections on revenue, it's anticipated potential residential rates, things like that. But at this point, even with an anticipated increase in valuation for homes in the county, there is still an anticipated gap in funding between increased costs and the increased revenue that the county is projecting. So I believe the county's estimated deficit was about $80 million, which, is a good chunk of change. So while our budget submission was flat, as was required for every county agency, we did include additional funding areas for the collection and for the social worker position that may or may not be funded because of the anticipated budget that's upcoming. So we're all going to be keeping a close eye as staff on what is to come with that budget. And things can certainly change from the time of the forecast to the time when the actual advertised budget comes out on February 21st. But that's kind of where things are looking right now. A couple of other updates. I know that you all read your board packets the minute that you get them in the mail. And I'm sure you saw at the very, very end, when you're in the monthly statistical snapshot, you may recall it was either last month or the month prior, Keith had requested a little bit of additional information and clarification around our CERC statistics. And the amazing Doug Miller, our customer research and strategic planning manager, added in some new charts in there to showcase some different circulation trends. So you can kind of see month over month and year over year in one pretty little info. So if there's anything else folks would like to see in that data, please do let us know. It's relatively easy to manipulate. So just putting that out there. And also, read to the end of the packet. There's good stuff there too. Sujatha mentioned during her outreach report the board games that they have launched, and I am happy to share that they are going very, very speedily. I heard this morning actually that if they are not all checked out, so they are very, very close to it, which is great feedback for us because we have purposefully done very little marketing around these. Because they're only located at a couple of locations, we didn't want to confuse people. You know, if you only use the John Marshall branch, we don't have them there, we were pushing it on social media. We didn't want you to get to your home branch and then be sad that there was nothing there. So we've done really minimal marketing on this, really just folks that are coming in and seeing and using them. But it's very popular so far, which is a good indicator for us that our staff are on the right track as we continue to develop these non-traditional collections. And then the last thing I wanted to make sure to share as a reminder during a public meeting here is about the county's winter weather policy process. We have some new trustees, and you know, a whole year has gone by since the last time. So as a reminder for everyone, the library alone cannot decide when we close facilities. So I don't have the authority to close facilities. You all don't have the authority to close facilities. Only the county executive's office has the authority to close our facilities. When it is regular working hours, so Monday through Friday, 8 to 5-ish, that is entirely at the county's discretion. The county tries to do things as consistently as possible so that the public is not getting mixed messages. And we also try and keep a close eye on what the schools are doing. When it's the weekends or it's evening hours, we're open till 9, there's a little bit more flexibility. But in general, we try and follow a pattern so that public serving agencies like libraries, rec centers, neighborhood and community centers, rest and McLean community centers, where we can, that we're following same opening and closing schedules. So I say that because there may be some light wintry mix, sleet, ice tomorrow morning. For a day like tomorrow, which is a Thursday, we would anticipate hearing from the county if there's any kind of change to operating status. I've been keeping an eye on the WTOP stuff. Priscilla, I can see your finger up there too. And as of right now, Fauquier and Prince William schools are closed tomorrow. There's a couple of other ones that have 2-hour delays. I didn't see one for
Fairfax County. You have to be in that network to get the little alert, but Fairfax County will open 2 hours late tomorrow for schools.
Fairfax County schools will be 2 hours late tomorrow. So the county tries to follow, to make sure we have a lot of parents that work for the county. So they try and make sure that where it makes sense, they mimic those patterns. I'm aware that there is a 9 p.m. phone call today with National Weather Service. So I don't think we're going to hear anything until after that. But if you all as trustees or members of the public ever have questions about it, the county's got some really good resources about winter weather preparation, how they make decisions about winter weather closures or delayed openings. Frequently, the county will offer what's called unscheduled leave. So like if FCPS doesn't open until 10 or 11, they might say, okay, county buildings, we're not going to open until 10 or 11. People either shift your schedules or you'll be offered a chance to take a few hours of unscheduled leave if you need to. So heads up on what the county process for that looks like. We have very, very, very little agency discretion on those types of issues. And that is all I wanted to share.
Okay.
Happy to answer any
Thank you.
questions.
Thank you, Jeff. Oh, did you have a question, Fran?
No,
Or
I just
Jessica?
have a comment. I had written in my notes how much I love the table. So I just wanted to I was going to wait and
Oh,
say
good.
at the round table. And then I was going to add that when I was branch manager at Chantilly, my assistant manager, I was always asking for tables or creating them. And at one management team meeting, my assistant manager, Fran never saw a table that she didn't love. So I love it. I love it.
Well, I will pass that along to Doug when I'm slightly less fogged by the flu, because I was trying to figure out how you could see my table that my laptop is on and
no,
why you were so enthralled with it. So, yep.
I'm sure it's very nice.
Got it.
Yeah.
It's fine. Normal
Okay.
table.
No, good
Okay.
work. I knew it was, I figured it was Doug, great job.
Can I
Okay.
ask just one question of Jessica? It's
Sure.
apropos of nothing, but if I don't ask, I'm gonna forget. In the incident report, it mentions a band patron having. What is that?
What do you have to do
how does-
to
what's
be
a band
banned by the
patron?
library?
how does a person become banned and how does someone recognize that they're banned? I mean, I'm imagining the librarian wouldn't know who's banned and not banned. So I was just curious as to.
Sure, that's a
Yeah.
great question. So we are a county agency and we follow pretty structured security guidelines for our facilities. And we have a code of conduct that you all have approved. So when people repeatedly violate the code of conduct or once or twice, depending on the severity of the action, we request a banning from a single site through the county's security office. If it's egregious enough, it can be a request for them to be banned from all sites. When the banning is approved, we call in either city police if it's in the city of Fairfax or county support police if it's in any of the other facilities, and we have them issue the banning. We do not take pictures of people, but we do write down descriptions of folks. And unfortunately, most of the people that get banned from our facilities are frequent flyers. So the staff at those locations know who they are. So you will likely see not regular, but irregular notice in there like, okay, a band patron came back in and have to be reminded.
Thank you. I
yeah.
was just curious as to how that happened. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Happy to.
Good question. Good question, Sujata. Any other question for Jessica or no? Okay, let's get on with the action item. As you know, we have strategic plans. We had one that's ending at the end of this year. And so we've written a new 5-year plan, drafted it, gave it to you last meeting to take a look at. That will cover the time from 2023 to through 2027, inclusive. It's 5 years. The plan itself, the actual look of it, I don't know whether the one that they sent along, which of course you can't see either, is what it'll finally look like, but that's probably pretty close. So it starts out with who we are, our identity. There's quite a bit of information there that Doug Miller and the staff committee put together for us. We as a trustee committee or a board committee like that. And so that's the front end of it. And then we move into a vision, the mission, guiding principles, and strategic priorities that are kind of the 4 parts of the strategic plan. I know several of you read it. I got a note from Gary Russell fairly early on. He was concerned with the fact that I'm going to read the vision statement from what you have. It says, Fairfax County Public Library, FCPL, is the essential and trusted resource to inform, engage, and inspire our community. Gary feels that there may be other essential and trusted resources within Fairfax County. I got to admit, there probably are. There's the schools, there's other things. So he suggests that we change that to the following. Fairfax County Public Library, FCPL, is a unique, trusted, and essential resource to inform, engage, and inspire our community. I see no problem with that, and I would hope that we all say, you know, that's a good change, and thank you, Gary, for that. Is that good? Anybody have anything else to say on that, Gary? No. Okay, so we'll make that change. Every time the vision statement comes up, it'll be that way, okay? Let's see. Oh, Jessica, you keep moving around my screen. I don't know how you do it. Anyway, okay, just please make sure Doug and the others who are putting this together know that. I got a very nice note too from Fran, our grammarian. You didn't know you were that. You're a grammarian and editor, but she has several, changes, but they're not substantive changes in that they're more like punctuation and so forth and spelling. And believe me, we'll take those into account after we get this approved by the board in the gist of it, at least. There's something I noticed that I hadn't noticed the first time you put out this is that back when we get to the strategic plan area, well, the last couple pages where we talk about our strategic priorities, we use the term objective a whole bunch of times, and I don't think that's necessary. I think we can bulletize those. The last 2 pages, Jessica, I just don't see, bothers me to see objective there. And I didn't notice it. I noticed that now, when I go back and look at the original draft, it was there too. And I just didn't focus on it. So I really think
I agree.
that we need to get it bulletized or little blocks or something like that.
Yeah, easy
But-
peasy. Would you
yeah.
like me to share my screen so everyone
Yeah,
can see it?
You may if you want, but is there any discussion on this? I'd like to have a motion that we approve the strategic plan as written with, any grammar things we need to change. Yes, Suzanne? You're muted.
Could Jessica's letter be translated back into English? It
Oh.
appears to be Latin. Is that
That's
Latin?
just,
No,
yeah,
that's just a placeholder.
that's a placeholder that
Oh,
you get.
Because it's
when
gonna
you-
say, like the board approved a strategic plan on
okay.
this date, and here's why we're excited about it. But we didn't want to presume that you all were going to approve it tonight. So
Okay.
Okay, anyway.
I thought, what is she
The,
talking about there?
it's to launch our new Latin book collection.
Okay.
No. It's, if you ever call up, I think it's in Word, isn't it, or something? I've seen that for like 20 years or something. It
yeah.
pops up with Lorem and stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, okay. That's
Yeah,
the
because
place
when
to
I
put-
started reading, like, what in the heck? And then I remember, like, you remember
I know, it's
seeing,
like-
I've seen that before, and it's like,
Jessica
oh,
really has a cold.
I get my red pen, it's gonna run out of ink.
Are there any other comments? Can we,
So,
go ahead, Fran.
so you
Yeah.
said something about a small group to work on
Oh,
changes,
well,
or would it just go back to the existing committee? or what?
well, it'll go back to the strategic planning committee to do a final proofread,
Okay.
which will include the staff and all. But Fran, you're on that committee, so I know that I want to read it several times through just to make sure that the punctuation's right. But I think in general, what we have here is a good product. And so what I'd like to do, if I can, is have someone make a motion that we approve these points as they are, and then make sure we get it, we
I'll make that
publish
motion.
it. Okay,
I'll
thank you,
second
thank
it.
you.
So the motion is to approve the substance of the
Yeah.
plan,
The substance of the
Still
plan,
open
that is
to-
correct, yeah.
grammatical.
And things like
Yeah, second.
what pictures actually go in it, how slick it is, how many pages it is pretty easy to do. And what Jessica's letter will look like
Right.
will all
So-
have to come together before we actually physically publish it. But
Right.
the approval of the plan and the points in the plan is what we're going for tonight.
Okay, somebody
have-
made the motion and I second.
Okay.
Yeah, Phil made the motion, Keith seconded. So now we can discuss if there's any other specific substantive discussions. Have we missed anything? I think we've been pretty careful between the staff committee and our committee to go back and forth, and Sujata's had a lot to say about it, Fran and others. So, and that's why, Sujata, I see you laughing, but you should have something to say about it.
Jessica always just has a lot to say about everything. Just basically a lot to say.
Well, I didn't know whether you wanted to say it tonight too, but in our committee meetings, you've been very,
I think
very
it's all
helpful in
fairly
that,
well
and that's
reflected.
good.
I think
Yeah.
it's well reflected.
Okay, good. I think so too. So are there any other discussions on the strategic plan? Okay. All right, the motion's on the table to approve the strategic plan for the next 5 years, but with the understanding that there will be a few of us that will go through it and make sure it's all absolutely correct, spelled right, et cetera, have nice pictures in it before it's actually published, which will be probably after the holidays, I presume, right, Jessica?
Is
Yeah,
that group
January
of
or so.
editors-
And I'm sorry.
Could I join that group of few?
Absolutely, Kripa. Yes.
Yay.
N-
All right.
Yeah, anybody can. It's a strategic planning committee. We don't have a meeting coming up, but we will set a date when we can actually sit down and talk about it. And you have the words here. If there's any specific things like I said, Fran has sent to us a couple of things like you don't need that comma, you don't need this, and that's good to know because after a while you get to read the thing through and it all looks right. I really appreciate Gary's substantive work on the vision. Now that was good, and that'll be reflected, Gary. So anyway, so let's take a vote on this. That we approve the strategic plan. This is what we're going to use. We're going to put it together, and you'll have a nice product given to us, hopefully towards the beginning of 2023, and it'll be sent to the state as well, so that it'll cover their requirement that every 5 years we do our strategic plan. And I really appreciate Doug. I was hoping he'd be here tonight, but I appreciate he and all the staff members, and you, of course, Jessica and Kevin, who have worked so hard on doing this and iterating it back and forth with those of us trustees who've had a chance to look at it. So I think it's great. I think it's got some substance in it, and it's something we can use over the next 5 years, and future boards can too. So, all right, let's take a vote. All in favor of approving the strategic plan as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Are there any objections to it? Any nay votes? No. Anyone abstaining? No. Okay. So it's unanimously approved, Jessica, for the minutes, and now the ball's in your court, and those of us, and just let us know if you want several of us to get together, or if maybe there's a problem, of course, Kripa. I don't know whether you're aware, but if what is it, 3 or more of us get together, it becomes an official meeting. So if a couple of us get together and talk about this, we're okay, but we have several, then we need to have an actual strategic planning meeting. But that will not happen until after New Year's, because
Correct.
we
So
really need to sit down and look at it. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll send around some meeting time options for you all. So the prior strategic planning committee was yourself, Sujatha, Suzanne, Sue, and I'll add Fran and Kripa to there as well. And we'll see if we can find some time for you all. Once you have finalized any modifications or details that are not substantive, it'll, a print run for us 3 weeks. It depends on if there's any backlog at the print shop and things like that.
Okay, good. And then they'll be made available to all the branches, to the staff, and in our case, to our supervisors and so forth.
Yes.
Okay,
Do
great.
we present this to the Board of Supervisors at a meeting, Jessica?
I could certainly ask to. The county has its own strategic plan though, and ours falls underneath that. So I'm
We're
not
just
sure what
required
time
to
we get there.
not break theirs.
Just delivering it will be enough then.
I think that might be good.
Okay.
I think so, because we were unable to have our meeting with the supervisors that we have every, 2 years, is it? Every couple of years. So they actually owe us a time, I guess, to sit down and have a meeting, but to the extent that the Board of Supervisors owes us anything, we could try to set that up, but that'll be next year sometime, probably after the budget cycle. Unfortunately, I would imagine they're busy. Yes, Fran?
I have a question that's sort of tangential to this. I guess it's related to strategic planning, not the plan, but the issue. And
just in general.
It's been because of the pandemic, it's been a long time since we've had an update from the Library of Virginia. You know how we had retreats and they would come and send someone and talk to board members. I think maybe there are enough new members that it might be very instructive. And I don't know if that's possible anymore, or if it would be a Zoom thing, but the in-person was really good. So I'm just raising that as not, I don't know if we want to have a discussion, but it's sort of part of that big picture thing, like a strategic plan. So
that's a good idea. Actually, I was not on board the last time you did that, because I don't remember doing it. So
sure. So the Library of Virginia does still provide free trainings for public library boards in the state. The woman who used to do them, Kim Armentrout, has moved into a different position with the Library of Virginia. So it'll be someone new from the folks that might remember the last go around. They tend to do trainings that are focused on the roles of boards, how to structure your meetings and your notes to be compliant with FOIA, and general challenges that they're seeing in libraries. But I'd be happy to reach out and see what kind of slate of things they're offering right now, if you would like to.
Did they come to one of the board's meetings? Again, it was before my time.
They have come to board retreats in the past.
Oh, board retreats. Okay. So it's just the board and them. Is that still considered a public meeting?
No. So your board retreats are public meetings still. It's just a longer, more structured way.
It's a longer public meeting. Okay, great. Got it. Yeah, let us know, please.
There
Yes.
was one year where we took a tour of the different libraries and.
Mhm.
you know,
And
Well,
we
that was-
publicly noticed the different times we would be at each of those locations.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one I went to. That was not
Yeah, that was great,
the
yeah.
Virginia Library. Yeah, that was good. Okay, let's see. Good, thank you, everybody. Now we have our round table. So anybody who wants to say anything at the round table may. I'm going to start in the upper left, but if my thing keeps moving. So Gary, do you have anything? No? Fran?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Suzanne?
No.
Priscille?
No, thank you.
Keith? Fox?
Yes, hi. I want to share a couple of quick things. First of all, kudos to Jessica for hanging with us tonight. But I attended the staff meeting at John Marshall last week. I don't know if it was Tuesday or Thursday. I'm losing track of days here. It was Tuesday, and it was a really good experience. This was the first time I attended a staff meeting, even though I've been on the board for a year and a half. But because of COVID, it didn't seem like it was something that the library wanted to do. But anyway, I had a great experience, a lot of great questions from staff. They were happy that I was at their staff meeting. So I have another one set up for Richard Bird. But one of the things they asked was, what does the board do? We know there's a board, but what do you do? How's your relationship to the board of supervisors? Can you explain your budget? One of the people pulled out a budget, and I was like, I'm the right person to explain. So that was good. But I want to encourage it because they seem really happy that we were there, and I'm sure some of you do it. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is Jessica made a funny quip about going to the back of our board packet. I start at the back of our board packet because I'm particularly interested in that stuff after I read the agenda of the board meeting. So thank you very much.
Excellent, thanks. Parker, do you have anything?
Well, keep giving me a great idea to do staff meetings at the library. So thank you for bringing that up. I didn't have anything, but I appreciate you mentioning it.
Great. Phil, you have anything?
Two brief comments. Number one, I'd like to wish everybody a very happy holiday. Secondly, Brian, I think the Board of Supervisors does owe us a meeting. We're their high-paid appointees. You should give us a meeting.
Yeah.
Brian, this is for you. I attended the POIC at a small book sale at the beginning of the month, so I went to volunteer since Brian taught me how to do that. But they had so many people. It was just a small book sale, so they didn't need me. So then I bought some books and I left. But I did go to volunteer. So happy holiday.
Okay, thank you. Liz?
We also at the Centerville Friends Group had a holiday book sale on December the 2nd through the 4th. They did open it up on a Friday afternoon and for the first time, and it was quite remarkable the attendance that we had on Friday afternoon. They plan on probably holding future book sales on Friday afternoons.
Okay.
They made I think a very decent amount because these again are like almost new books. And they did $1,000 less than they do at their other book sales, but for a special focused book sale, they did quite well and they're very pleased and it was well attended.
Thank you. Sujatha?
I don't have anything to say, and I'm also really, I would never have occurred to me to go to a staff meeting, and what a really good idea. I would have thought that they wouldn't have wanted anybody there at the staff meeting. So it's
I've
nice.
actually been invited to a couple over the years, but not every one, of course.
Well, Christine has invited me, like, there's like an open invitation. So really maybe I'll start there because, she, so maybe she won't. I would have thought they wouldn't have wanted somebody to watch over them while they're doing it, especially considering that question, what are you? What are you guys doing, right? So then are you like the principal? I mean, you know what I mean? In fact, no. We are not the principal. So that's cool. Thank you for suggesting it. Everybody have a wonderful holiday.
Thank you. Kripa, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, so the ILL system is amazing. So
Mhm.
shameful confession, I am an American Girl history collect, like that's how I learned all my history. And
Oh,
yeah, I got some of the short story collections through there. And that system's awesome. Actually, there is a conversation that I've been having with my school board representative, Melanie Marin. She said that the layout of the children's section in the Reston Library isn't as user-friendly for dyslexic kids as it could be.
mhm.
She's in talks with the Reston Library about that. It's been a while since I checked in on how that's going.
Do you know anything, Jessica or Keith? Kevin, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I do. So Melanie had put staff in touch with a group at FCPS that if there was a need or interest, would be able to help with the service project.
Mhm.
But I think that based on the conversation with Melanie, that the reason that the layout is the way it is was not meant to be unfriendly for folks with dyslexia. It's just like an S curve shape.
Yeah.
So I think what we landed on is it just needs better signage. So we've been talking with the folks at FCPS about other projects instead.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering if we could like make a little caterpillar type shape that does and that follows the S shape of the books or something cute on the floor to guide customers in an S shape pattern. Otherwise,
Okay.
yeah, eat, drink, and be merry this holiday season. My birthday was thank you for the birthday wishes, and yeah, I'm about to get lit.
Okay, thanks, Krista.
Before we adjourn, I actually I
well,
had one thing I just
okay.
remembered. I just remembered. This is really for Gary and Phil, who I know had some concerns when we went fines free. I wanted to report something to you guys. Yours truly has an overdue book and long overdue book, which is shamefully overdue book. This is really like, because I keep not finishing it. I'm like, okay, I'm just about to finish it. And they renewed it. And finally, I have reached the maximum of renews. Somebody must want it or something like that. And every day, I think I get an email reminding me to go return that book. So tomorrow it's on my list. Tonight I had to finish the book, and then tomorrow I had to return the book. So I just wanted you guys to know that really they don't let it go. They do not let it go. They don't charge you a fine, I guess, but they're not letting it go. It is humiliating, the feeling that I have had for the last 3 days about this, because they this relentless push, bring back that book. So yeah.
Thank you, Sue.
That's a thing I wanted you guys to know.
Okay. Sue, do you have anything to share with us?
No, I don't. Just happy holidays.
Okay, thank you. And all I have is Work Center also had a holiday sale. We did very well. We had quite a crowd of, unfortunately, some booksellers. Not unfortunately, they spend a lot of money, but they do make the room very crowded, and others. So we made a good amount of money on that. And on Monday, this coming Monday at 6:30 to 8, I think it is, Brooks Center Library has their fireside chat. They've done it for a number of years, and then obviously it was in advance for a little bit because of COVID and all, but they're going to do it. They're going to have all sorts of cool hot chocolatey things and all that stuff. The staff does this. It's not, I mean, with friends' money, of course, but it should be fun. So anyway, if anybody want to come by, it's open to the public. You come in. I believe they have a small group of high school band members, because I think the schools are going to actually be on vacation then, but they will have some, they usually use Blake Braddock or one of the other local high school bands to play, and they always play nice music. It's fun. So anyway, anything else? If not,
You want a motion to adjourn?
I would like that. Do I have a second for that?
Second.
Second, okay.
Happy
All in
holidays.
favor? All in favor? Fine. Okay, good. All right, have a wonderful holiday, whatever you celebrate, and enjoy yourself. See you next year.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Except Jessica,
Bye,
I'll see you
everybody.
Monday, right?
Stay well, everyone.
Stay
Bye.
healthy, stay well.